From the Green Room Studios at Bates Nursery in Nashville, Tennessee, it's Gardening Inside Out, a podcast with highlights from our Saturday morning live show, answering all your gardening questions, giving you plant advice for any space in your life. Let's start the show.
Hey, y'all. It's Caroline Gant again.
Hey, y'all. It's Austin Lowen again.
Hey, and it's Tyler. I've been here the whole time. Where have you been?
Yeah. We've been here too.
We have.
Mm-hmm. So what are we talking about today? What are we doing here? It's a little slow at the nursery today. I'm kind of bored.
Yeah.
Where are the people
There's always something to do, though.
I guess that means I got to do something.
You know, it's the holidays. People are starting to do stuff.
That is true. I noticed up at checkout here at the nursery, the checkout gals are getting the Christmas lights up.
Oh, it's getting festive up there.
Mm-hmm.
But you know, plants always make a good gift or a gift card. So
that's true. And like pots.
I like
pottery's a good gift idea.
The gift card is just the most democratic method you could ever, here you go. It's your heart's content. Go for it.
That is true. You know, I've always said this is I like to get gift cards a lot. I don't like to give them all that much. I feel like I'm lazy.
I love getting them. And I always ask for a Bates gift card for my gifts, and no one ever gets me one because they think I'm kidding. But that's all I want. It's a gift card to where I work.
Well, you do spend most of your money here.
I do, absolutely. I have so many plants.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not one of those people who's like, please don't get me a gift card because I want to pick out what I want.
Yeah.
But I guess, okay, so for those people who don't want a gift card and who who are gift giving and don't see gift cards as like it, what's a good like just solid selection plant or item that you would recommend?
A beautiful house plant and a gorgeous ceramic pot.
I
From Pottery Market. Shout out to Karen from Pottery Market. Love you.
No, that is a good idea. People love plants. They love pretty pots. My wife always gets upset with me whenever I'm like, we're going to get them a plant. And she's like, well, yeah, you got to get them a pot too. And I'm like, I don't even see the pot, but people do. So you got to spend the extra money and get a cute pot for your houseplant.
The question is, how many people are expecting a pot with the plant? Or can they? Or maybe you have to like read who you're gifting for, right?
I think part of it is reading.
Because they're like, if they're scared of plants, or they say, I kill everything, I got a brown thumb.
But you give them directions, and if you don't know what to do, you ask the garden center person how to care for the plant. But I think that's a good point. Sometimes with pots, you could buy an ugly one that's not ugly to you, but ugly to the person. So sometimes I actually shy away from that. I'll get a really nice plant because I know they have a taste, and nobody likes an ugly gift, at least in their eyes.
That's true. That is a good point. You don't want to mess up and get a yuck pot for somebody whenever they hate it. You know?
Okay, hybrid idea.
Okay.
So you go in, you get them what you think is the perfect plant. Then when you give it to them, you're like, guess what?
Here's a gift
We're
card.
going on a date.
Oh.
And I'm going to pick out a pot with you.
Okay.
So you can get the right size and shape and stuff for them, but they get to pick the style.
That's a fantastic idea.
What an idea, Tyler.
It's like, it involves them sort of, but you still get to get the initial like, this is for you. I want to do this for you of a gift.
Yeah, I like it. I do like that.
I'm a fan of that. We have some drama to discuss this morning, though, with the one drama queen in this room.
That'd be me.
That would be
Certainly
Austin.
not me.
Yeah, definitely not Tyler. Definitely not me.
Sometimes Caroline.
Yeah.
When I'm feeling it. Yeah.
Well, the drama Caroline's talking about comes from my ginkgo tree. And I've got a sweet, really cool, on a standard dwarf ginkgo tree. And to preface this, Middle Tennessee can be highly annoying with weather, okay? We can all agree with this.
Yes.
Sometimes in the early spring, we'll get warm for a week and have a late frost or something. Or even it'll get to be like mid-May and we'll have some stupid little frost that'll happen. It'll whack back new foliage. Well, no difference in the fall. Last week, we had 3 days of like freezing temperatures. And it was really annoying because it hurt a lot of plants with their growth. If they had new growth at all, it kind of messed them up. A lot of deciduous plants just decided to shed their leaves. Well, my ginkgo, which the whole reason and point to grow ginkgo is because of its gorgeous yellow fall color. We all know this. It's like the best yellow in nature. Well, it was still clean and green and not even thinking about going yellow yet. And then that stupid freeze happened. And now my leaves are mush. They're mush.
Really?
You got
No yellow.
yellow.
No yellow. They're mush. And they're just dropping atop of my pansies that I have planted below them.
I saw a picture of it.
Do not pass
It's
go.
hideous.
It's bad.
God.
Your pansies look beautiful, and so does your Golden Pacific junipers.
Well,
that are
thank you.
Behind
Yeah,
it.
that's nice of you to say. And I do appreciate it.
You're
But,
welcome, but
the
they do.
ginkgo.
The ginkgo looks terrible.
Everything you've grown that's been like a little bit fancy has just gone to crap.
I know. And it's
Even
not
though
like
you-
it's not like it's dead at all. It got plenty of buds for next season. You can't barely kill ginkgo, honestly. It's a very long-lived
You know what
plant.
it is?
What?
They're trying to match you at your drama level.
I don't have
what it
bad
is.
drama. I'm dramatic. I'm loud. Yes.
They might
I
not
love
think
flower
it's
power.
bad. It's gotcha drama.
It's
you
got me
expected
sweating.
this. I'm going to show you what to expect next year, and then they're going to get you again.
If
Man.
that ginkgo does that, this is the second year in a row it's done that.
Really?
Yes.
Is this
And it
is this
kills
your
me.
American?
Yeah, it's called American. Like America, except without an A, just American.
MERIKAN.
MER, I believe. KEN. Yes.
Oh, okay.
American. Yeah.
Well, maybe next year. Hey, there's something to look forward to over the year right there.
I've been looking forward to it all year because
Well,
it
you're-
happened to me last year.
It's going to be even more exciting next year to see what happens. And we're all going to be on the edge of our seats waiting all year.
You know what happened
know.
to me though?
What?
Just yesterday, NES, the local electric service here, had for the past couple weeks marked some maple trees that I let grow up just naturally from a natural patch in my yard. They marked them for removal. And yesterday was the day they showed up.
They skipped them.
And the nice little woman came out of the tree truck and she was just like, "Hello, sir. we've got to take care of your trees."
Oh,
And I was like, "Okay, I've already said my piece, Their time is nigh."
I'm sorry.
Yeah. they put down some kind of crazy chemical to keep it from coming back.
Yeah. Yeah, that's kind of like, have you ever seen down the woods whenever you see massive power lines that have no vegetation around
they
them?
spray.
Yeah, I don't know what they're spraying, but there ain't no trees growing.
I don't know
say,
anybody
yeah.
who knows what they're spraying, and now I want to.
Well,
if you are listening and you know what they spray, put it in the comment box.
Not gonna lie, I had some holly bushes that I cut down recently,
Did
and
you
I
spray them with something?
no, I asked the sweet little lady. I was like, "Hey, so I've got these hollies too, and they might get in the way of the power lines eventually. They're by my porch right there. Do you think you could, treat those too?" And she was just like, "Oh no, my boss is very particular about what we use that treat with."
I
so,
want to know what it is.
so I was like, "Ugh, I don't."
Yeah, you
maybe
don't
I
want
don't
that
want
near
to
your
know.
house.
No,
I wouldn't.
No, but I was trying to see if they'd, it's like a stump. I've got a 8-inch stump sticking out of
You're
the ground.
never going to be rid of that holly.
So
Never.
they need
Unless
to whack
you
it
pull
down
it
more.
out of the ground,
Yeah,
out of the earth.
Even if you still do that, you will still see other hollies popping up.
I'm,
from
gonna-
where
a holly,
I'm
you
planning
got
to
a holly
concrete
forever.
over it.
that would work.
4 inches of
What if
darkness.
it busts through that concrete?
I don't think it would.
It's
do
not
that.
going
I
to.
guess
No.
I'd just
Maybe
start
it will.
weeping.
Yeah, it'd be pretty sad. And maybe your boxwoods will come back to life, which we did talk about in this broadcast. So let's go ahead and get into it.
Okay. Well, we Austin's also put up a question about his petunias, and that's still running. If you have input on that, you can chime in.
Yeah.
Yeah, let us know what you think.
I mean, I think Austin may have made up his mind.
Oh yeah, it's made up.
Oh, they're
Okay.
they're staying.
They're staying.
They're staying. All right, but take a listen to our broadcast from November 11th.
So you need to be mindful of keeping things watered, not just things you've planted this year or in the last few weeks,
Last year's stuff. Too,
things
for
that have been
sure.
in the ground for a while. Austin, talk about that and how people can be lulled into a sense of false security with regard to their watering in drought times.
And definitely with conifers, specifically arborvitae. I know a lot of you use arborvitae. It's a great selling plant for us. And the emerald green arborvitae is probably our number one selling conifer, and it's a tall, skinny, kind of evergreen, either screen or something you put on the corner of your homes. Even if you planted that last year and it went through the winter, made it through all spring and did all fine, right now you need to think about keeping it a little bit moist because it is dry. It's very dry, and arborvitae, as we've talked about before, does not have a very deep root system. It doesn't seek its own water very well. It really sits on top and kind of has a lateral root system, and so watering with those, it can be crucial. I saw on my way in to work the other day, I saw a big arborvitae on the corner of a home, just literally 2 minutes up the road from here. And it's on the corner, and it's big. It's probably 12, 14 foot, but it is turning brown and not from the interior out. You know, if it's browning from the interior, that's one thing. It's a shed that happens with arborvitae. If it's browning from the outside in, then that means it's probably dry. And I got a bad feeling that homeowner is going to lose that arborvitae if they don't get out there and water it.
Oh, no.
That's really
thoroughly
unfortunate.
and
Go
deeply,
knock on their
right?
door.
Yeah.
Yes,
Let 'em know.
thoroughly, deeply, a lot of water. Like you can't barely, if it's dry, you can't overwater it, y'all. I mean, if it's sitting in water, arborvitae doesn't like that. There's a whole number of plants that don't like to just sit in water. But if it's dry, you're not going to overwater it. I mean, you could soak it as long as you wanted to. But
Yeah, and a really good method for doing that, if you don't have any kind of specialized drip irrigation system or whatever, is to simply take the garden hose and put it on the uphill side of the root ball. If it has a grade that falls away at all, put it on the opposite side and turn that hose on to a trickle.
And just let it run.
And then walk away from it. Let it run for hours. Let it really saturate and soak that ground in. If it appears to be running off at any point, you've got it running too fast. Turn it down a little bit more. You just want it to barely seep into the ground. That way you can get the entire root ball thoroughly wet. And then it will make it for an extended period of time without further attention. The specific plant you're talking about, that would be well advised of those. Hopefully, it's the fall season is a little more forgiving than say that during the growing season of summer. They might still be able to recover this plant or salvage it, but they won't do it if they don't act quickly.
That's true. And another, I guess, little housekeeping thought is that a lot of people, suffered the freeze that we had, and they went this spring, and then we, us especially, told people to kind of wait it out and see what regrows and what happens. And people have done that, and it's gotten into fall, which is a good planting time, and people have realized, okay, some of this stuff did come back, maybe some of it didn't. So they're starting to want to come out and buy some stuff, mainly evergreen foundation type shrubs or whatever, and they've put them in over the past couple weeks. Well, if you've done that, you need to be watering, people. Yeah, these are especially newly planted plants. It's been dry, and that little rain we got the other night did not do anything for a newly planted plant.
I'm going to barge in here and say, hey, Gina has a question on YouTube. Can one use flower seeds in the spring from flower heads that have been hit by the frost this fall?
Yes.
Yeah.
I sure hope so, because I'm going to sure try it.
I mean that's the natural process of seeds. Okay, we have they'll do that. They'll dry on the plant. They'll stay. If you weren't to cut them or do anything with them, they would stay up on the plant. They would release themselves somehow in any way that plants do that, either by wind or just some plants explode, like they'll explode their seeds out, and then they'll lay dormant on the ground through the winter, and then they'll pop up in the spring. That's kind of how it all works. Now, you won't get 100% germination that way. Nature doesn't work that way. If they throw 10,000 seeds, you might get 1,000 to germinate, if that. It's pretty low numbers, but if you can control that a little bit better, you harvest those seeds, collect them, put them in your fridge over the wintertime, and then sow them in the spring, you'll probably have better results.
I'm going to try it both ways, Austin. I collected several coneflower seeds and a bunch of the zinnias in bags, and I'm going to keep them over the winter and try to germinate them inside, actually, over the winter. But then I took a whole bunch of the zinnia seeds and just spread them out over where we cleaned up the yard.
Oh, you'll get so many.
You'll get so many.
I'm gonna if the lawn boy blew off a bunch of my leaves. So, I mean, I had taken and actually put leaves on top of them to try to protect them. So,
well, let me ask you this, Josh. Why do you want to try to germinate the seeds in your house
I
at
don't
all?
know. It's just
Just an
zinnias?
experiment?
Well, I mean, we had such good luck. I did it last year.
It's Josh's science project.
That's right.
Okay.
You need to keep us updated on that.
Well, and my my grow lights that
I was about to say,
purchased
you use grow lights.
Yeah, and I purchased. I got 3 nice little portable sets that were less than $100.
Yeah, and the great temptation for anyone germinating seedlings inside is to keep them in a room. You need a lot of light, but you need very cool temperatures.
They're in the basement.
Well, that's a
Not
good
heated.
spot.
Yeah, it's not heated. But
Hopefully they would be at most in the 50s.
Most of the time.
Preferably in the upper 40s would be better.
I can open the door. I can make that work. I can make that work.
I think
it's
you
not
can.
heated. It's not. It's a non-heated, cooled area. I mean, it's
Well,
basically
you put
just-
enough light fixtures in there, sometimes it becomes heated.
they're all LEDs.
Well,
anymore.
that helps because they don't put out much heat.
right.
Keep
And
them warm. I have zinnias all over my garden beds, and I haven't planted any seeds in probably about 2 years.
Wow.
So they just pop up. I let them, I'll cut the seed heads off and just kind of scatter them throughout the beds. That and Datura, that one comes up like crazy all over my yard now. It's a really pretty plant, angel trumpet. Poisonous, blooms at night, attracts a lot of pollinators. But that one also spreads like crazy. So let's go ahead and get into some more questions. We did have a question about watering, so let's skip back to how dry it's been. Do I need to water a newly planted tree throughout the winter?
This is a good question, actually.
Yeah.
If you're planting evergreen trees, then yes, you probably will have to water, depending on the weather. You know, you always kind of, here in Middle Tennessee, you always have to kind of feel out the weather, whether it's dry or wet or whatever. But conifers in general typically need to stay a little bit more moist through the wintertime because they keep their foliage up and they're actively photosynthesizing. Now, deciduous plants are a little bit different. They can ease off of that water just a little bit. When a plant has no leaves, it's not actively photosynthesizing, okay? So it's kind of sitting dormant. You know, like we use that word all the time. And that's what they're doing. So they're still using a little bit of water, yes, but not near as much as like during the growing season. So watering is way less over the wintertime for a deciduous tree. I'll give you the biggest tip ever, in which is right after you plant your tree, if you soak it thoroughly and properly, then you typically don't have to do too much through our winters here, okay? We can be pretty wet through the winter. We haven't started that process yet. Obviously, we're talking about drought. But for the most part, over the wintertime, we get somewhat rainy. We can get a little bit of snow every once in a while. And the plant has no leaves. It just doesn't need near as much water. So if you get the first watering done right, then you're usually in the clear for the wintertime, and you don't have to do it very much.
We just don't know if this is a usual
We
year
don't.
or not.
We don't.
know.
That's Middle Tennessee for you.
It'll be a surprise. Ooh.
Always.
All right, when and how to transplant creeping phlox? I like that little giggle.
That
on
was a
that.
giggle.
That was a giggle.
I like creeping phlox. It's fantastic. Old school perennial, just reliable bloomer, and a very, very hardy plant. Okay, so
Thrives on neglect.
it really does. Lives on rocks, can creep onto a sidewalk. It's a great little plant. But when it comes to transplanting it, it's really not all that hard either. We're going to do this during dormancy. So really now is not a horrible time to do it, except for we are kind of dry. Okay, so if you before you decide to dig it up, you maybe a day before you dig it up, let's soak it really, really well. Okay, get the root system really nice and moist, and then after you do that day, go out the next day and then dig it up with your shovel. Get as much of the root system as you can, and quickly take it to the hole you've hopefully already dug to have it ready to be transplanted, and put it in the hole, press it in firmly, and water it.
Water.
It's going to live, y'all.
That's such
It's
an
gonna
important
live.
thing to remember for folks who are transplanting anything. Is it's always a good idea to assess what you're getting ready to transplant, how large the root ball is going to be, and then dig the hole first where you're
gonna
going
put
to
it.
transplant this plant to. That way you minimize the amount of time it's out of the ground. You can water it immediately once you get it back in there. And this time of year, if you take just a few pains like that, it'll never know it's been moved.
And if you take
exactly.
Austin's tip and you water the day before you dig, it's
That
going to be a
helps
whole
tremendously.
lot easier to dig that out of the
That's
ground.
a great tip.
And phlox is a very shallow rooted
Yeah.
plant, so
Yeah.
it's really easy. When we, back in the day, used to see a lot of growers that grew it, they would just have it in like a little burlap little handle thing, and it would just be 2 or
Quarter of
3
an inch,
inches.
yeah.
Yeah, it would just be a little bit of soil on there, which is enough as long as you keep it watered.
I had a guest 2 days ago, which is a really good customer of ours. Mr. Hicks is his name. He buys a lot of plants from us. He's got an extremely tidy garden. This guy is like obsessed with gardening, okay? And he was talking about hostas, and hostas are a very similar plant to phlox in a way that like they're easy, okay? They don't do the same thing at all. They don't look anything alike, but they're a very hardy perennial. And he was telling me about how he dug some up, and he, as gardeners do, you typically just either forget about something or you don't get it planted
Forget
or you
about
do
it.
whatever.
Forget about
He
it.
dug up the root system of that hosta and he just kind of set it to the side and more or less forgot about it. Came back the next spring and he had realized that he'd never dug a hole for it, but the plant still rooted into the earth, just sitting on top of the ground. And he didn't do anything. So like creeping phlox would be no different. You literally sit it on the ground and it would probably root. Now we don't recommend that, obviously. I've already told you how to do it better.
It's a little lumpy.
Yeah, but plants are amazing sometimes, especially hardy perennials like that. They're amazing.
8 years ago, we took out a bunch of flowers, the ones we were just talking about, and I just had a brain cramp.
Phlox.
Not the phlox, the other one.
Hosta.
Hostas. Yeah, we took out about a whole bed of them that we inherited.
It gets worse, by the way, Josh.
I know it really does. But this year we had a sprouting. I mean, they haven't had anything for 7 years, and then this year we've had a new growth of them. So we're going to leave them, and we're going to let them go back.
Gardening Inside Out is brought to you by Earth Mix Garden Products, creating regionally sourced high-quality soil blends and amendments for the sustainable-minded gardener. Fall and winter are great times to plant in the Southeast, and Earth Mix can help you with Landscape Soil Conditioner. Mix Landscape with your native soil to feed all winter long. Added mycorrhizal fungi help your plants get established faster and increase hardiness through the year ahead. Visit earthmix.net for more information and retailers near you. Remember, success begins at the ground level when you use Earth Mix Garden Products.
Is there a smaller, shaggy, yellowish shrub that could, not fool people, and they could plant it closer to their house?
We did have some of the golden blue Pacific junipers a while back, did we not? And that,
We did.
But that one actually just stays on the ground. It doesn't really grow up enough. So
So a little too small.
Yeah, a little bit.
A little too small.
It is.
But great in a container like Caroline's talking about using, something that gets it up off the ground and gives it a way to spill over the edge.
Hey, I had an idea a couple weeks ago.
What's
I
that,
presented.
Austin?
I think it's a great idea, but I'm a little biased. The creeping junipers that we sell, like Caroline brought in the studio today, the Blue Pacific or the Golden Pacific juniper. I grow one called All Gold Juniper.
I've got
Look,
it
y'all,
too. It's great.
They come a lot of times in little 1 gallons. Okay, we sell them for like anywhere from $14.99 to $19.99.
$10.99.
Sometimes $10.99, depending on the grower. And a small little 1 gallon. But what I was realizing is that we don't have hardly any plants that we put in hanging baskets through the wintertime.
Ooh.
Why would we not put a 1 gallon juniper in a hanging basket and let it just spill over, put a red bow on it, call it Christmas, a Christmas hanging basket?
It makes perfect
okay?
sense. It makes
really
perfect
does.
sense.
Why don't we do this?
Well, we're going
We
to
should be
do
doing
it.
this.
It's
Okay,
going to
well,
happen.
We're gonna
You know
see. We're gonna see some in studio in the coming weeks.
You know
I'm
what?
pretty
We're doing
sure.
it.
We're gonna have
Caroline,
hanging
we're taking
baskets
those Blue
everywhere.
Pacifics right after this, and we're going to pot them up. I hope you got some
Okay.
hanging baskets.
I
Christmas
do.
balls
I
on
have some
them.
hanging
Challenge.
baskets.
Christmas balls.
Put some magnolia leaves in it.
Oh.
I mean, there you go.
I think
I
they're
mean-
called ornaments, Austin.
Yes.
Christmas balls.
Ornaments?
Either way,
You're the only one that picked up on that.
Tyler, I was calling me
Christmas.
out.
Yeah, Christmas.
Keep calling them out.
Christmas balls.
Yes.
It has too many
Christmas-
different interpretations.
Christmas
so-
balls in your junipers, hanging baskets. It's all great, y'all.
Okay,
Fun of
hey,
how I talk.
now you talked.
Now
speaking
with
of
Christmas balls.
speaking of talking, Austin, earlier at
Okay.
the top of the program, you
All right.
you were mentioned that you were formulating some thoughts about things going on in your yard.
Okay.
So I think it's time to.
Are y'all ready for this? I'm a little heated. I'm a little up. So y'all know I've got beautiful petunias, okay? The beautiful petunias that I have in the ground, the wave petunias, have waved goodbye with their blooms, okay? So the first freeze last week, we talked about petunias being very hardy, and they are. But all the blooms got whacked, okay, y'all? Just whacked. But the foliage is still up and really, really pretty. So I've got petunias that are up, people. They got plenty of foliage. They look really, really good. and they might bloom again. Okay, but I've got a predicament. I want to clean my bed. As we talked last week, I'm a tidy gardener, but I can't clean my bed until I get the petunias up. Okay, so do I leave the petunias to see if they're going to send me a new bloom cycle and make me happy, or do I go ahead and get rid of the petunias because the season's pretty much done and go ahead and clean out my beds? Now, a quick little disclaimer. If I do clean up my petunias and get them out of there
We know
and
what's
clean
coming.
up the bed, it will expose my 14 dead boxwoods
Oh no.
that I'm still leaving
they
for
are
some weird reason.
Going to be exposed eventually.
So, what do y'all think? Take the petunias, leave the petunias to see if they bloom again. We got like another week of really nice weather. They're probably going to rebloom.
You said they might have buds on them, right?
I think they do have some tucked in buds. I was trying to look at them this morning. But then the rest of my bed is so leaf filled and yuck.
Can you not just work around them?
Not really, David. That's the problem. They kind of line the whole front of my bed, and where I have to leaf blow, they would like get caught in them.
Okay, I think it's time that Austin faces reality.
Oh,
David.
Josh,
Oh,
that's
no.
a tough one.
I really do. I think it's time, Austin. You got to snatch the boxwoods too.
But I just
Oh,
wanna
no.
wait
No,
until
those are staying
spring.
up.
For some,
It's not time.
all of my horticultural thoughts in my head tells me these boxwoods are not coming back. They've been dead this whole season. But then just an inkling inside my heart
They're the
says
Franken boxwoods.
they
They're
might
gonna-
come back from the roots next spring. What if they were just like, look, I
They're
got
not gonna-
Like my
whacked.
hosses that
You-
came back after 8 years.
they
right?
just-
Have you
Okay.
ever
That's what I'm
seen-
saying.
When have you ever seen that happen?
I never have, David.
It could happen.
I never have.
You're
But I
hoping
still-
against hope is what you're doing.
So much hope. Look, they just took a year off, y'all. They got hurt. They were tired. They're like, look,
got
I need
their
a year.
feelings hurt.
I need a year.
Set a deadline. Okay.
And then this
Set
spring,
a
they're going to come
deadline.
back from the roots. They're
Okay.
going to do it.
It's going to happen.
No, they're not.
But you know what you could do? You could get some very tiny ornaments and decorate them.
Some Christmas balls?
Some Christmas balls.
Tiny Christmas balls.
Some tiny
Wow.
Christmas balls. Hang them all over those maybe
Little bubble
not dead
lights on 'em,
boxwoods.
They sure
yeah,
look
some
good.
tiny little twinkle lights, a little bit of tinsel. How cute would that be?
I'm still a fan
good
of
point.
spraying the green stuff.
Yeah.
I'm not spraying no green stuff, Tyler.
Are you sure?
If you want to keep them and you want to
Donna Brooks says,
Pretend
let
they're
it
alive.
go, Austin.
Let it go. Let
Let
what
it go. Let it go.
What does she mean? Does she mean let my petunias go? Or does she let?
I think she's probably saying yes to
Let
both.
Dig up
all
the-
of it go.
Yeah,
Probably.
let it all go.
You're probably right.
Okay.
I'm not mad at you.
That's okay.
Well, we want to know what you all think. So
Just keep on sending it in.
keep
I
on
need-
sending, even when we're not live, keep sending it in.
Just
We
send
will
them
see
in.
them.
I need to
We'll
know.
take a poll.
Okay.
I'll put a poll up in our Instagram story. So if you don't follow Gardening
that's a
Inside
good
Out,
idea.
Greg
go
from
ahead and
Corinth
give us
wants
one.
to know something, and I think he wants a further explanation. Can you give a more thorough, less objective definition of thorough watering for plants such as crepe myrtle, boxwood, magnolia, dogwood, and azalea? He's in Corinth, Mississippi, which is Middle East kind
Yeah,
of.
and they are in a worse drought than
Yes.
we are in. So, Greg, long and slow. We
Yep.
talked at the top of
All
the
of
show
them.
about just placing a hose on the uphill side of a plant at a trickle. Another thing, if you've got a larger area of plants, is to purchase one of these leaky pipes type of soaker hoses that you can weave in and around and just connect it, and it will drip water. It's very non-spectacular, but it's quite effective, and it will not let the water be applied so quickly so that it will run off. What you're trying to do is affect the maximum amount of water you can absorb into the ground without anything running off, and those give you a really good opportunity. The conventional type of soaker hoses that spray up in the air are
worthless as far as I'm concerned.
you almost have to turn them with the
Upside
holes
down.
pointed down, and then they don't really work all that
Well,
well.
and-
So
and-
if you're trying to conserve water, you're going to wind up evaporating more into the atmosphere than you are
Right.
soaking into the ground. So the leaky pipes type are really good for that. Or you could set up an overhead, just an impact type sprinkler and run it back and forth. At the lowest pressure it will function at. What's that again, Josh? Okay.
Yeah.
So there's that.
They make rings for those weeping hoses too. I mean, that you
Yeah,
can put around certain
around
trees.
a specific tree or something. But again, as Austin mentioned earlier in the program, deciduous plants don't have the dramatic needs like conifers do. Even broadleaf plants are going to have greater needs than the deciduous plants because they don't really go completely dormant. They still transpire moisture. Therefore, their needs will continue on. It's just that the conifers are much less adept at extreme drought conditions, and they will not recover from it. Broadleafs, unless you've got boxwoods in front of your house,
that are dead.
will usually recover.
Now, Miriam, MRP Mims,
Miriam, what's up?
she's saying gardening is about hope. Keep the boxwoods, keep the petunias.
Yes.
Miriam!
Hope springs eternal.
Look, Miriam's got the voice of reason, so I'm.
Guys.
You're wanting a certain answer.
Yeah,
David.
you're going to
Okay.
do what you want to do anyway. I mean, I don't think any of us think otherwise.
We have 3 different differing takes on the Bates page.
Oh.
Mary is saying dig them up, pot them,
No.
clean your bed, then put the pots back.
Oh my God, that
That's a
seems
lot.
like a lot.
Then we've got Beth. Beth says leave them,
Okay.
and then Barbara says pull them up.
Oh, wow.
Barb.
Barb.
Emily says
Barbara
keep the
Gossip.
petunias until another freeze.
Okay.
Yeah, we want to see if those bloom,
Oh, yeah.
Austin.
I
So
like
leave
that.
those.
The boxwoods, we know for certain, will not be more dead
Then they are.
a month from now than they will be at this moment. So I would kind of go in favor of that. Let the petunias see if they come back out again. I mean, you got nothing to lose at this point. Nothing.
I don't. The only thing
You
is
just
I
wanna
get back.
clean it.
My bed is so dirty right now. The leftover hibiscus blooms are yuck and mush, and the sticks are up, just leafless.
You're telling me
and
you
annoying.
can't get behind there and clean any of that up and kind of satisfy that need?
You're
for
right, David.
tidy?
I could a little probably, but it's.
Our boy Colin says leave them.
Yeah.
Thanks, Colin.
What does
Peggy
it hurt?
Anchors is saying leave them.
Okay.
I think
Okay.
leave them.
Additional support for Gardening Inside Out is brought to you by Bates Nursery and Garden Center, a third-generation nursery located in Nashville, Tennessee, and 20-time recipient for Nashville's Best Garden Center, offering the widest selection of new arrivals for fall, like specimen conifers, Japanese maples, and pansies in nearly every color. Open year-round, minutes from the heart of Nashville in beautiful Whites Creek, Tennessee. Browse their selection online anytime at batesnursery.com. Bates Nursery and Garden Center, beautifying Nashville since 1932.
To that lady right there, my grandmother, Bessie
Nanny.
Bates, the founder of our company, and soon to be a feature on the website, which I'm very excited about. Our upcoming Ask Bessie feature that will be on our website. Tyler is working with a information provider so we can really give an enhanced level of information with regard to whatever you're talking about. And I think you're going to find that Bessie's really knows her stuff.
You're
So-
hooking up
She's
with
definitely
Elon and-
she's
Ooh,
to the
man.
point and she knows her stuff.
Okay.
She's from what my early conversations with her
So anyway,
have been good, but
look-
she hasn't offered to give me any baked goods or
Well,
any
you know,
life advice.
I think
She used to
beyond
make a great
plants.
slurry fertilizer too, doesn't she?
we might be able to incorporate some of that into it because I do have some knowledge about her firsthand from the cat head biscuits back in the day. It's part of the reason why I have struggled with weight gain my entire life. Is I used to go eat breakfast with her at 5 a.m. and then come home and eat breakfast again.
If she sent you out to get the switch, she knew what switch that
She
had to
never,
happen.
she not once ever did. You could do no wrong.
Do you want to bring up Colin's comment about that was on the YouTube channel?
You mean if you leave them, we still get to play this game?
Yes, Austin. If you
If I leave and we still get to play this game. Okay.
The Justin drama continues,
The saga.
and
Drama.
yeah, and
What
maybe
if they
another
come back
poll
from their
later.
roots, y'all? What if they just regenerate from the roots?
if a frog had wings, he'd fly.
Yeah, right. yeah.
Austin, why don't you dig them up and
No.
look at the roots?
Yes.
They
Why would I
No,
Color.
discolor.
leave them.
No, they.
But also,
Yeah.
let's get to some more questions.
Yeah,
I
we do.
know
We have
this
more
is a fun
questions.
thing to
Right.
talk about, but
I'm
y'all,
s-
we have so many
we gotta
questions
move
right
on.
now. We got to talk about pruning. So Miriam is asking, should arrowwood viburnum be pruned? I don't want to ruin the branching, but I am unsure.
Hey, Miriam. Good to see you. Glad you're here. I don't see you. You're just here.
She's seeing you though.
Okay, so arrowwood viburnum, it does bloom on old wood. Okay, so know that. If any pruning you do right now, you're going to lessen your bloom set for next spring. So generally, if you are going to prune it, you're going to do it right after it blooms in the spring, okay? And there's absolutely nothing wrong with pruning an arrowwood viburnum. They get large. I mean, they just do. Most all viburnum gets very large, and they can get a little unruly. So if you got to do it, but do it after they bloom. Let's let it chill right now.
And unless something is a fruiting plant, the best time to prune them, without respect to what kind of plant it is right after they flower. If it's a flowering plant, right after it flowers, it's the best time to do it. And you can usually prune them rather severely at that point, should you choose to.
Yeah, they're actively growing. They're ready to go. So once you prune them, they're ready to bust right back. So
right back.
Do it,
Bust the
Miriam.
move.
All right, hydrangeas.
Oh.
We have a question asking, when is the best time to prune limelight hydrangeas? It's very happy in its spot.
Good. That's very good. I'm proud of you.
So
cut them
proud.
back over the winter. Doesn't really matter when. If you want to cut them back now, sure. If you want to wait till January, sure. Anytime during dormancy is the time to prune those. They're differing from viburnum to where they bloom off new wood. So it doesn't matter if you cut them to the dirt. They're going to bloom. So get them cleaned up, get them tidied up. Take any stems that are weak and not productive, get those out of there. Keep nice, healthy stems. And you'll see a beautiful flowering shrub next summer.
They're so easy.
So
I'd
easy.
say they're the easiest hydrangea out there.
Oh, they are. I think they're the easiest by far.
So pruning pansies or cutting them back. We have a viewer that's asking, they planted some in the early fall and they're already getting leggy. So can they go ahead and cut it back to get a rebloom?
Yes. Legginess is ugly. I can't stand
He's
leggy
mad
pansies.
about it.
I can't. I am mad about leggy pansies. Okay,
Probably
they're
makes
the
you think
worst.
about your bed again.
Shut up, Tyler.
Whoa.
Okay, so leggy.
We're getting a little sassy this
We're getting
morning,
heated.
y'all.
We're heated this morning.
It's
Okay,
the time change.
leggy pansies. Okay, yeah, we got to cut the leg out. You got to. They're going to stay leggy if you don't do it. So you may as well go in there, shorten them down to where you get them down to the foliage that is tight. And then once you do that, this next week and hopefully a week after that, will be some nice temperatures to get them to send new leaves and then send new blooms atop of that a little bit tighter. I don't know why they're leggy already though. I don't know if they're not getting enough sun. Maybe that's why they're a little leggy.
Yeah,
That's
one of
weird.
the most difficult things to get people to do if they are buying really big grown annuals of any type, but for this season, pansies for sure, is to pinch the back a little bit. They just don't. I don't want to lose my flowers. Yes, but in the long run, it's going to be much better. So that's probably the most difficult thing for people to do, is to sacrifice growth and foliage in the short term to really be able to gain it in the long term. Part of the difficulty that you're talking about, Austin, is if you cut them now, it's going to take them a lot longer to reset bud and get those breaks, because we are moving into the cooler part of the season.
Yep.
We are. All right, garlic question. Speaking of cooler part of the season, I tried to mulch my garlic with straw and it's already sprouting. Will it be okay?
This is a really good question, okay?
It is.
I got to say, you planted your garlic a little early. Next year, we'll do it a little bit later, okay? I've planted garlic when I used to work at MTSU at their organic vegetable farm. I planted garlic in the snow one year.
Wow.
Like, it was dormant cold in the snow. It was a muddy mess. But anyway.
And he walked up and downhill both ways
with no shoes.
Yeah.
no shoes.
Yes.
It was hard. It was
No,
very
it
hard.
wasn't
Got an
that
orange
bad.
for Christmas.
It wasn't that bad. But your garlic is up right now, okay, because it was planted a little early and warm weather will make it sprout. Now, do I think it's going to die? No. I think it's just going to sit green, and probably that greenest, most growth that comes up is going to be injured by the cold weather, and it's going to look a little not great through the wintertime, okay? But is it going to kill the garlic totally? No, I don't think so. I think it'll sit through the winter. It'll look bad, but then when spring temps warm up and the sun starts coming out next spring, you should see new foliage pop up through that old green growth, and it should still be okay. But like I said, next year, let's just plant that a little bit later.
So in our No Down stories that we put up on Thursday, we did feature a tree in it that had beautiful red fall foliage. I mean, Tyler was all about it. He was like, we got to walk over here
I
and
was
look at
bummed
it.
you didn't do it in the intro, but we got it at the
Sorry,
end.
Tyler, we let you down. So we have a question about that. Is that amazingly beautiful black gum tree a native?
Yeah, black gums are native. They're native to the southeastern parts of the world.
Black gum Tupelo.
Yeah, you get that Tupelo honey.
Nyssa sylvatica.
Yes,
For those.
very It's a water loving plant.
Yep.
Okay, so it can do that, and it rivals maples with their fall color, if not better. I don't know if it's better. Year
It's
to year
just
is
a
different.
punchy red,
different.
orange.
It is.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think though it is a different looking tree, and I think it's one of those that is worth consideration in any landscape where you want a medium sized kind of tree. You know, they will get fairly large, but they don't grow extremely fast. So you can have a really great, interesting look for most of the growing season.
Yeah. We have some really nice ones right now, too. That was just a few, but we got some really big ones. Some big old 30 gallons coming in like 10 foot tall with a beautiful spread. They're nice. Come get you one.
Advice on overwintering lemon tree indoors.
Get it, Caroline.
Get it, Caroline. All right, so I do put mine out in the spring and summer. I was going to say spring and fall, and then I bring it in the winter. So when I bring it in the winter, for one, you have to make sure you have plenty of sunlight. That's going to be the biggest key to keeping this lemon thriving and happy. So I always put mine, I've got a south-facing sliding glass door. I put it there, and it does just fine, and mine actually blooms indoors once I bring it in. Now, with those blooms happening, you do have to water it a little bit more. I find out of any of my house plants, my lemon tree, I have to water it a lot more than any of my other ones that transition to indoors through the winter, because with my heat on, it dries out a lot, and it just seems to be absorbing more and more water, I think, because it's blooming and setting fruit. So bring it in. I mean, it smells absolutely amazing.
Yep.
If you haven't smelled a lemon tree before, to me, it's one of the best plant.
Smells like a lemon tree.
Smells like a lemon tree. It has this light, like citrusy scent, of course, because it is a lemon tree, and it's just something happy to have in the winter. Really inspect it for pests. I know we talk about that a lot when you bring your houseplants in, but that one in particular, my citrus trees always get spider mites or mealybugs when I put them outside. So I usually spend a good amount of time cleaning them and inspecting them, because I would say about 75% of the time when I put them out, they do get a pest. So if you want to avoid that pest, you can keep them indoors all year long as they've got plenty of sunlight. You can also supplement with the grow light. That is also an option.
Hey, wouldn't you say that when they're in bloom, they a lot of times just shed leaves?
Yes.
I mean, like, I've seen my mother's had a lemon tree for years, and like whenever it's in full bloom, over the winter time, typically it's like it has no leaves at all. It's just energy to blooms.
Exactly, it sends that, and it's also, I think, the plant's attempt to bring in as much light into the future fruiting area as possible. So by shedding off some of that extra foliage, it stops the shading effect that it might have on that fruit, in which, of course, it needs the sunlight to ripen properly.
My key lime is currently doing just that.
I know. That's what they do.
Limes.
And you know what I think the blooms smell like?
What?
Fruit Loops.
They do.
They smell like Fruit Loops. Exactly like Fruit Loops.
Lantana
Y'all come
smells
smell.
a
What
little bit
color
more
Fruit
like
Loop?
Fruit Loops.
Huh?
Which color Fruit Loop?
All of them.
All of them combined.
Oh, okay.
All of
If
them.
you crush one of the leaves, it's
Fruit Loopy.
You can't deny it. It's Flute Loops and tricks.
Fruit
It's that
Loopy.
daggone hour again, getting us again.
Yeah.
Yep. You can, yeah. Crushing the lemon tree leaves, lime tree leaves smells, so good. And our final question of the morning, we had somebody asking, so you guys have been talking about when to plant. It's not too late to plant a lot. And they're just asking, basically, is any time a good plant or good time to plant?
And no, I wouldn't say so. Not based on like me personally. I'm not going to go plant a large tree in the dead of the summer. No. I got to water that thing way too much. That's why we were talking about earlier with like large deciduous trees. Like we do it during dormancy when they don't have leaves. That's when they need the least amount of water. So that's the least amount of work for me to do. I'm not trying to be watering a large tree.
You can, but
You can.
You are making a lot of work for yourself.
You are. Exactly. So that's when we typically do that. I avoid planting most things in the dead of the summer, but dead of the winter is a different story. That's actually a good time to plant.
I love planting in the
Only
winter.
when the ground is frozen solid, and how much of that actually occurs.
Rarely.
I can remember as a kid growing up in the landscape business that we would go out and plant where you had to use a pick to break through the top couple of inches of
Then you're
ground that
fine.
was frozen to get to the unfrozen ground beneath. We planted stuff all winter. It never had any negative effect whatsoever. So here you can plant year round if you choose to and you're willing to maintain.
Exactly.
All right. Good job answering all the questions today. I think that's the first time in a long time we've gotten to every single question that came in.
Nice.
Yeehaw.
That's good.
Gina said, I concur with Miriam. I have 2 particular boxwoods that look horrible and they flank a doorway. I'm leaving them until spring and will then decide.
Yeah.
So
Well, there's no reason not to defer that decision. It's not going to change anything, no matter how deep your denial runs, Austin.
That's a river in Egypt, David.
Yeah.
So annoying.
It's okay though. Maybe they'll come back from the roots.
Maybe.
Yeah. Yeah, maybe.
Or again, decorate them for the holidays.
I'm going to have to.
It'd be so cute. How many do you have?
14. How many times am I going to say it?
14 tiny Christmas trees.
That's a lot of work.
Christmas bushes.
Can you
Put
do the
Christmas balls all over them?
The 14 days of Christmas this year? Count them down, baby. One a day. Just take them out.
I almost slapped you. I was so excited about that.
I'm not
5
doing
golden dead trees. All righty, folks. Hey, folks, the music means that this edition of Gardening Inside Out is coming to a close.
Yes, it is.
But next Saturday morning, right here from Bates Nursery Garden Center and the Green Room Studios here.
Hey, if you're watching right now, of course you are,
Yes, you are.
and you haven't subscribed, we ask you do so.
Please.
And maybe tell your friends about it. We want to extend this program out to as many folks as possible.
Watch
So
for the
thank you
updates
for
and the
watching
podcast
today.
during the week.
Yeah.
It's great stuff to see out there. Hey, happy Veterans Day. Salute a veteran if you know one. Think about one if you don't. He's not around anymore. And we'll see you next Saturday morning right here for more Gardening Inside Out.